Wukusu, peace, black power, and welcome to Harlem Liberation School's YouTube channel. Harlem Liberation School is a black nationalist, pan-African community organization based in Harlem. We provide relevant and credible political education to help black people wake up, clean up, and stand up, in the words of Brother Malcolm X. To do this, we provide panel discussions, political commentary, mini documentaries, leadership tips, classes, and interviews with some of our most dedicated and effective leaders, activists, and intellectuals around the world. Peace and Black Power families, Brother Ajay Taimba from Harlem Liberation School, where we consistently teach black people to wake up, clean up, and stand up, and that's very important. Right now, if you're watching the news and you're checking out the president, I hope you didn't vote for, and his minions, there's a lot of havoc being created around the world and in our country. So this is a particular time where we really need, as Africans and new Africans, to wake up, to see what's going on, be aware. Don't just be getting involved in foolishness. See what's going on in the community, what's going on in the world, in your organization, wherever, and find out ways you can do something and do something about it. Even if it's just meeting about it and trying to get people to come with ideas. But we cannot be idle, and we cannot be comfortable with just being upset, right? Because a whole lot of us upset, and that's not going to do it. We got to get organized and activated. I want to just say a few quick things. I want to bring on a powerful brother that is no stranger to Harlem Liberation School or to the community. But I do want to mention a few quick things. One, I want to give a shout out, a rest in power salute to a brother that my father was in love with his music. A brother named Sonny Rollins, one a great saxophonist who transitioned, became an ancestor yesterday. I put a link on my Facebook page of a video of him, and man, when I say phenomenal, he was really phenomenal. Supposedly seen as a master of improvisation, would play on the Manhattan Bridge every day for hours when he got older. This remarkable guy. Overcame drug addiction, and when he was asked how he wanted to be remembered, he said, "I want to be remembered as a man who made mistakes and constantly worked on them and overcame them to the best of my ability, one by one." And I'm with him on that. I'm with him on that. That's what it's about. I also want to mention my other channel, The Real Wise OG. I had to put real in it because somebody tried to, bite the name Wise OG. So it's The Real Wise OG on YouTube. And this is specifically for our younger brothers, older brothers, particularly the young ones who are wayward, who are not taking self-investment seriously, getting caught up in all the foolishness that the white man puts in the community. No discipline, no respect for people. We want to try to give them some direction, and get them to take themselves seriously, because we have a lot of people who have the God-given potential to be phenomenal, but they're living way underneath their potential. And we have the ability to spark them up, right? So check out that channel, support it, subscribe. This is for the brothers on the street, the brothers on lockdown that came out. This is for the brothers that went the route and did everything supposedly right. This is for all the brothers. If you're not wayward and you're not in trouble with the law, that's cool too. This is a place we can come together and support each other. Sisters, those of you who love black men and support black men, I welcome you to come through, because you're one of the main conduits for black men to get better. Those of you who are on point like that, you're giving books to the brothers, you pointing them to business opportunities, you're telling them about this meeting. So we want you to come on too. All right. That said, I want to say Wukusu, peace and black power family. We are back, with another live broadcast featuring our good brother Heru, Ofori-Atta. We formerly had these broadcasts on my Wukusu self-empowerment channel, but I'm repurposing that channel. And I'm going to also be repurposing and restructuring Harlem Liberation School as well. It has to do more. It has to do more programs, different types of people. with similar messaging, but different types of people from different fields, right? So I'm going to be expanding our programming to reach more of our people who are serious about liberation, knowledge of self, and how to organize in the community. So I'm asking those of you who are Black centered, or some say African centered, educators, authors, social workers, community organizers, healers, with a record for fighting for us, who love us, and it's demonstrated. I want you to reach out to me at harlemlschool@gmail.com, and perhaps we can talk about setting you up where you have a monthly broadcast, like I do with Brother Heru, right? That we develop a sense of consistency, almost like the white man does with his TV programming. That said, I want to talk about this brother before I bring on Brother Heru. I don't know how he would characterize himself. For lack of a better word, I'm gonna say I know he's an entrepreneur. I know he's a community centered and conscious brother. He loves the people and he serves the people. And he does it many times, sometimes on his own dime, and he's just crisscrossing the country. He's doing it. Um, I would say maybe he's a holistic healer. I don't know if he would agree. He'll talk about that, but he makes and sells his own, I'm gonna say his own nutritional products. I don't know if we call those supplements, herbs, or whatever. And he's created, I guess he would call them protocols or regimens or ways of eating and doing different things, along with taking his supplements that help to heal people. And so far, if you go to his page at herbalresults.net, which I encourage you to go to, I'll have it on the screen as we talk. You're going to see testimonials. See, it's one thing to say something. It's another thing that got people to say, oh, yeah, he did that. Oh, yeah, that did happen. Oh, yeah, that's not just me making it up out my head. I've never seen that. I've never seen a person doing these type of things with 20, 40 different people. And they're talking about how they used his products, they followed his advice, reversed their high blood pressure, reversed various forms of cancer, diabetes. I saw, I believe, a sister got rid of her epileptic seizures, and much more. So he's a brother that I really respect. I respect he has a certain humility, and he works hard, and he loves us, and it's clear by the work, by the fruit. So I want to bring our brother on, our good brother Heru. Please, brother.
Peace.
Good to see you again. It's been a while, man. I think we both been busy. We had a few scheduling conflicts. One time I was exhausted, but we're
Yeah.
here. I'm glad to see you again, man. What's been going on with you? Catch us up.
Well, we've been we've been doing some great things. We've been really exposing people to the work that we're doing at herbalresults.net. We've been giving lectures across the country, doing a lot of podcasts, and the word's getting out there. I'll be most likely in London uh, sometime next month, giving a lecture. I've been made aware that our products are quite popular in England, and that
Mm,
there's a community of people who've been referring the product to sick people, and there are apparently very many a high number of cancer reversals in England
mm,
right now due to the protocol. And so there's a demand for the product and what we're doing. Uh, so we're gonna go to England and spread the good news. But
that's
other than that, I'm I live on a mango orchard, so I'm dealing with that right now. We had a cold freeze that killed about 50% of my trees,
man.
so I'm in the process of planting new trees. And as they say, the best time to plant a fruit tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today.
Hey, that's right. That's funny. I'm getting ready
Yeah,
to put that quote out on my other channel. That's why
yeah,
I knew the quote.
yeah. So I'm engaged in that, and then I also I do trading and investing, and so I have a show that comes on every Wednesday morning with Sankofa Revolutionary Radio, and also the brother Red Pills Network, No to Ledge TV. We
Mhm.
combined our forces, and so every Wednesday we do a wealth results show, and every Monday we do a health results show.
Nice.
So people can tune in on that. People can just check out my Facebook, Heru Ofori-Atta, 9 a.m. We'll be on live. Um, People can also go to our website, herbalresults.net. We do simulcast on our website as well, 9 a.m. every uh, every Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have people calling from all over the world, man, with different illnesses and people who've taken the products and gotten reversal. So they give their testimonials as well, all over the world. I would just say that you spelled my name in the banner there wrong. It's
Oh man.
Ofori, OFO instead of OFI,
O
OFA.
F
Yeah,
OFO.
yeah.
I
Just for
got you.
purposes of people trying to search me.
I got you.
Um, yeah, OFORI. So Mondays and Wednesdays are kind of lit. A lot of people getting real isms on health and wealth on those days, and I'm keeping up with uh, customer questions and inquiries, and people want to do consultations. So yeah, I refer to myself as an illness reversal engineer,
Mm.
right? In IRE. So what I don't do is I don't want to be associated with the allopathic medical system
Mhm, mhm.
because there are too many conflicts of interest, particularly the pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies. The profit motive has driven healthcare away from true healthcare. Um, it's really about just creating a customer base in perpetuity instead of actually solving your health issues.
Mhm.
They're very good with emergency medical care to stabilize you, but when we're talking about these illnesses that are these long-term illnesses, such as which are the main illnesses that kill people's heart disease is number one, which we're going to talk about today. Number two is cancer, and number three used to be respiratory illnesses, but now it is death by doctor, which is iatrogenics,
Mhm.
which is the third leading cause of death, according to Johns Hopkins. And then respiratory illnesses is fourth, and then you have the rest of them, the diabetes, autoimmune illnesses behind them. So we are in the business of using first principles thinking to solve these health problems, right? So first principles thinking asks us to just identify what are the immutable truths of health in an organism. We surmise that to be nourishment, water, sunlight. Um, and then we look at what are the limiting factors to people's health, and we identify two factors: toxic inputs and not enough nutritive inputs. So today, when we talk about heart disease, which is really stroke is a manifestation of heart disease, um, just keep in mind that our analysis is a first principles analysis. Is okay. This is the leading killer of people worldwide. So, what is actually the cause of it within our first principles approach to the limiting factors? So, we look for what are the toxic inputs that could affect the heart, and what are the nutritive inputs that can positively affect the heart, right? So, what are the negative aspects of the which are the toxic inputs? So, you always ask those questions. What is this person consuming or this person absorbing that is toxic? And then the second thing is, what is this person not absorbing that is nutritive? Those are the two main questions. And we
Haru, I
approach.
gotta stop you. I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Because I actually didn't know that strokes were a manifestation of heart. I know they could be related, but I never knew the
Yeah.
strokes come directly from the issue with the heart.
Oh,
I never knew that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Strokes is. So, what did you understand strokes to be?
I My understanding was, and I've had a couple of them, I should say too, in the past. I always thought it was, I'm sorry, brother, let me get you off solo here. I always thought that strokes were a function that you had a clot in your brain and not enough, the blood didn't get to a particular part of the brain, and so that part of the brain died or decayed or whatever happened,
Yeah.
and that affected it. Whatever side of the brain it happens on, affects the opposite side of the body. It could be paralysis, weakness, a bunch of different things. But I never, and nobody ever really explained it that it's kind of heart based.
Yes. So first thing you need to realize is that all people die the same way,
Mm.
and that is lack of oxygen to the brain. So every death is, so it's about what caused the lack of oxygen to your brain. It could be a gunshot, right? The gunshot pierces an organ, you bleed out, so you don't get oxygenated blood to the brain. They hang you don't get oxygen to the brain. You have a heart attack, you don't get oxygen to the brain. You have an aneurysm, which is what you were talking about earlier, you don't get, you stop getting oxygen to the brain. That's the final cause of death, is lack of oxygen to the brain. So when we talk about strokes, like what do we mean when we're talking about strokes? And why does it affect the brain? Because it affects oxygen getting to the brain. So the person is getting really a form of brain damage through the lack of oxygenation to the brain. And the quicker you can get the blood flowing to the brain that's oxygenated, the better. The quicker you can get oxygen to the brain, the better, right? So when we talk about strokes, which we wanted to talk about today, there are two types of strokes. Don't know if you're aware of it, but there's two types. So there's what they call an ischemic stroke, and then there's a hemorrhagic stroke. About 85% of strokes are ischemic strokes. The other 15% are hemorrhagic. Hemorrhagic stroke is much worse than an ischemic stroke. So an ischemic stroke is when there's blockage in the vessels, the blood vessels. And this blockage stops the delivering of oxygen to the brain, and then they say you have a stroke. Then the other one is a hemorrhagic stroke, which is when a blood vessel, usually an artery, bursts. When the artery bursts, you get profuse internal bleeding. So this profuse internal bleeding is what they would call a hemorrhagic stroke. This internal bleeding is not allowing, it's basically like a pipe busting, right? You when the pipe busts, you can't get water to your house, right? So when the pipe busts in terms of hemorrhagic stroke, you can't get oxygenated blood to the brain. So then you start having neurologic issues because the brain needs oxygen, quite similar to someone drowning, right? The brain just needs oxygen and the brain's not getting oxygen.
Mm.
So the question then becomes, well, if we had to pick between two, like, well, the biggest majority of strokes, 85% is ischemic. So let's deal with ischemic, right? We want to stop strokes. Let's deal with the most common form, which is the ischemic stroke. The blockage. Where's the blockage coming from? Well, the blockage is a side effect of processes in the body that are happening caused by inflammation. So a lot of people don't focus on is inflammation. The inflammation of the arterial walls. If you have inflammation of the arterial walls, you start getting swelling. So inflammation is always associated with swelling. And inflammation comes from three places. Comes from injury, infection, or food, toxic input. So the injury, we'll see inflammation of your shoulder, you injure your shoulder, it starts to puff up, right? You injure your knee starts to swell. That's inflammation on your knee. So inflammation is always coupled with swelling. That's injury. Infection. You get a herpes infection on your lip, a blister, right?
God forbid. Yeah.
And then it gets big. It swells up, right? Yeah, but that's infection.
Mhm.
Inflammation and swelling, they go hand in hand. So now, let's just say that you get an infection in the form of, well, not an infection, but let's just say that you're eating something like sugar in your teeth. It burns a hole into your teeth and starts to swell your gums.
That's called a cavity when you
Yeah, we
say
call it
burns a
a
hole in
cavity.
the teeth.
Yeah, it burn a hole in your teeth. We call it cavities. And then you imagine what sugar is doing to your soft internal organs, right? If it can do that to your teeth. So you start seeing this whole quality of swelling as something that is going hand in hand with inflammation. So you got swelling of your arterial walls, and then the tunnel in which the blood is supposed to flow gets smaller because of the swelling. So once this hole gets smaller and smaller, the blood with the oxygen still has to pass through. So guess what it will do if it's not released? It has to come out at a higher pressure. It has to come in at a higher pressure to deliver the same rate of oxygenated blood, just like a hose, a water
Water
hose.
hose. Mhm.
Yeah. So you have to increase the pressure, and that's where you get high blood pressure from.
Mhm. Makes
Now,
perfect
what happens
sense.
with this inflammation is the inflammation causes a buildup of something called fibrin. So, fibrin is essentially like a plaque buildup
Mhm.
due to the inflammation. And that would cause the blockage. You get this blockage, you get full blockage, will cause you to have a stroke. They call it an ischemic stroke. It's from the blockage. So your mic is muted. Your mic is muted.
Thank you. What is a
Yeah.
TIA?
Okay. So yeah, that's a form of a that's like a stroke too. But I need people to understand this first, like the blockage part, right? So because that's the main thing. So the first thing that you have to ask yourself is what causes the blockage? It's inflammation that causes the blockage. How do they deal with the blockage? Well, what they'll do in the medical system is they will literally give you something to thin your blood, to make it thinner so it can pass through the smaller hole better. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of dealing with the true cause, which is the inflammation, right? So, what I want to do is that this is not just Heru saying this. I want to be able to share this with you all so you all can reference this. We have a heart surgeon, is operated on thousands of hearts, and he's telling you what he's seeing. And let me share this with you. You able to see it?
Yeah, I'm going to add it now.
You see it?
Yep, it's up.
All right. So this is what the guy says, right? We physicians, with all of our training, knowledge, and authority, often acquire a rather large ego that tends to make it difficult to admit we are wrong. So here it is. I freely admit to me wrong. As a heart surgeon with 25 years' experience, having performed over 5,000 open heart surgeries, today is my day to right the wrong with medical and scientific fact. I trained for many years with other prominent physicians called opinion makers. Bombarded with scientific literature, continually attending education seminars, we opinion makers insisted heart disease resulted from the simple fact of elevated blood cholesterol. The only accepted theory was prescribing medications to lower cholesterol and a diet that severely restricted fat intake. The latter, of course, we insisted would lower cholesterol and heart disease. We're talking about the statin drugs. Deviations from these recommendations were considered heresy and could quite possibly result in malpractice. It is not working. These recommendations are no longer scientifically or morally defensible. The discovery a few years ago that inflammation in the artery wall is the real cause of heart disease is slowly leading to a paradigm shift in how heart disease and other chronic ailments will be treated. The long established dietary recommendations have created epidemics of obesity and diabetes, the consequences of which dwarf any historical plague in terms of mortality, human suffering, and dire economic consequences. Despite the fact that 25% of the population takes expensive statin medications, and despite the fact that we have reduced the fat content of our diets, more Americans will die this year of heart disease than ever before. Statistics from the American Heart Association show that 75 million Americans currently suffer from heart disease, 20 million have diabetes, 57 million have prediabetes. These disorders are affecting younger and younger people in greater numbers every year. Simply stated, without inflammation being present in the body, there is no way that cholesterol would accumulate in the wall of the blood vessels and cause heart disease and strokes. So he's telling you about inflammation. He says, without inflammation, cholesterol would move freely throughout the body as nature intended. It is inflammation that causes cholesterol to become trapped. Inflammation is not complicated. It is quite simply your body's natural defense to a foreign invader such as bacteria, toxin, or virus, as I explained earlier. The cycle of inflammation is perfect in how it protects your body from these bacterial and viral invaders. However, if we chronically expose the body to injury by toxins or foods the human body was never designed to process, a condition occurs called chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is just as harmful as acute inflammation is beneficial. What thoughtful person would willfully expose himself repeatedly to foods or other substances that are known to cause injury to the body? Well, smokers perhaps, but at least they made that choice willfully. The rest of us have simply followed the recommended mainstream diet that is low in fat and high in polyunsaturated fats and carbohydrates, not knowing we were causing repeated injury to our blood vessels. The polyunsaturated fats, that's the seed oils, that's the canola oil, the corn oil, so forth and so on. This repeated injury creates chronic inflammation leading to heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and obesity. Let me repeat that. The injury and inflammation in our blood vessels is caused by the low-fat diet recommended for years by mainstream medicine. What are the biggest culprits of chronic inflammation? Quite simply, they are the overload of simple, highly processed carbohydrates, sugar, flour, and all the products made from them, and the excess consumption of omega-6 vegetable oils like soybean, corn, and sunflower oil that are found in many processed foods. Take a moment to visualize rubbing a stiff brush repeatedly over soft skin until it becomes quite red and nearly bleeding. You kept this up several times a day, every day for 5 years. If you could tolerate this painful brushing, you would have a bleeding, swollen, infected area that became worse with each repeated injury. This is a good way to visualize the inflammatory process that could be going on in your body right now. And then he goes on to say, regardless of where the inflammatory process occurs, externally or internally, it is the same. I have peered inside thousands upon thousands of arteries. A diseased artery looks as if someone took a brush and scrubbed repeatedly against its wall. Several times a day, every day, the foods we eat create small injuries, compounding into more injuries, causing the body to respond continuously and appropriately with inflammation. While we savor the tantalizing taste of a sweet roll, our bodies respond alarmingly as if a foreign invader arrived declaring war. Foods loaded with sugars and simple carbohydrates or processed with omega-6 oils for long shelf life have been the mainstay of the American diet for 6 decades. These foods have been slowly poisoning everyone. How does eating a simple sweet roll, create a cascade of inflammation to make you sick? Imagine spilling syrup on your keyboard and you have a visual of what occurs inside the cell. When we consume simple carbohydrates such as sugar, blood sugar rises rapidly. In response, your pancreas secretes insulin whose primary purpose is to drive sugar into each cell where it is stored for energy. If the cell is full and does not need glucose, it is rejected to avoid extra sugar gumming up the works. When your full cells reject the extra glucose, blood sugar rises, producing more insulin, and the glucose converts to stored fat. What does all this have to do with inflammation? Blood sugar is controlled in a very narrow range. Extra sugar molecules attach to a variety of proteins that in turn injure the blood vessel walls. This repeated injury to the blood vessel wall sets off inflammation. When you spike your blood sugar levels several times a day, every day, is exactly like taking sandpaper to inside of your delicate blood vessels. Okay? And he goes on and on.
That's
And
pretty
so
descriptive. Yeah,
yeah, he's
wow.
giving you a
Yeah.
visualization of what's happening, man. And this is what's going on. So when you start talking about these strokes, you start having this buildup from the inflammation, which creates the blockage. And in this blockage, you get what is known as an ischemic stroke. And the thing that you're talking about when you ask me, and the reason why I want to hold off on TIAs, which is a transient ischemic attack, it's a form of an ischemic stroke. Blockage is just not a full blockage. So it's a partial blockage, right? So it causes stroke-like symptoms, but it's not a full stroke. It's a transient stroke.
Mhm.
So that's when you have, brief blockage. So it's not full, complete blockage. But the point is, what is creating the blockage? Well, it's the sugar causing inflammation, it's the vegetable oils causing inflammation, it's the carbohydrates causing inflammation, which then causes this buildup of fibrin, which then causes the blockage. Then you'll get an ischemic stroke or a TIA. Now, the question is, yes, we have a great question. Is it possible to eliminate the plaque naturally? Yes, and I'm going to show you exactly what you're going to do, because that is the most logical question after what I said. Well, if I build up the plaque, there's two questions. How do I prevent the buildup of the plaque? And how do I reverse the buildup of the plaque?
Mhm.
So let's just say you already have plaque. There's two things you're going to do. The plaque is coming through inflammation, right? So you don't just want to remove the plaque, you want to stop plaque from building up. So you've got to reverse the inflammation. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut out sugar, refined carbohydrates, that's the white flour, the white, anything white that's a
Ah,
flour or
symbolic.
crackers or cookies, donuts, white rice, spaghetti, pasta, all of that sugary drinks get out of your life because that just converts into sugar. And then, so you're not going to feed the problem anymore. You're going to cut out the vegetable oils. And you're going to replace it with coconut oil, unrefined coconut oil, unrefined virgin coconut oil. Okay, and that is going to then, so you stop feeding the inflammation. And how do you reverse the inflammation? Well, you're going to take herbal results olive leaf extract. It's to me one of the best inflammatories that I know of from all of my studies. So, depending on how serious your problem is, you can get the maximum strength or you can get the uh, super strength. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the screen and show you all exactly what you're going to get to deal with this plaque buildup. You see the screen right there? You all can go
Gotcha.
get this product here, super strength olive leaf extract. Y'all see it?
Mhm.
All right, it's $40. If you've got a very serious problem, you get a stronger one, which is the maximum strength. Okay. All right. That is going to
What's that,
reverse
like a
the inflammation.
capsule, Brother Haru? In terms of taking it, they put like
Yeah.
a cap full of it in what?
Cap full
Water?
of it, and yeah, put in like a little bit of water and just drink it down. And then what you're gonna do is get this product too to dissolve the plaque. It is called nattokinase. The brand that I recommend is Arthur Andrew Medical. Nattovina, nattokinase supplement. You're going to take 3 capsules a day, at least 3 a day. Okay? Take it for a couple months, and the studies show that it is very efficient in getting rid of the plaque. Any type of blood clots you may have, plaque buildup, you want to use nattokinase. Okay? The brand I recommend is Nattovina, and you're just going to do that. So you're going to get the olive leaf extract here, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and get Nattovina. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what you're going to do. Now, what about the other type of stroke? The hemorrhagic stroke. Hemorrhagic stroke is when the pipe bursts. Just think of a plumbing system and the pipe bursts. So that's what's going on with a hemorrhagic stroke. But why is the pipe bursting? Well, imagine you've got inflammation. imagine that you've got constriction of your blood vessel. Is usually supposed to be like this, and then the inflammation causes it to be like this. You see how the hole is a lot smaller,
Mm-hmm.
right? The hole is a lot smaller. What happens if the hole gets to be like this? That's the arteries. And it's supposed to be like this. So remember, your brain needs oxygen. It needs the same amount of oxygen. So that means that if you've got constriction, to get the same amount of blood flow to your organs, what has to happen? You either have to release the constriction, or you're going to have to pump at a higher pressure to get the same amount of fluid to the other side of the constriction, like you would have to do with the hose. And that's why you have high blood pressure. Now, imagine that it's constricted and you're pumping at a higher pressure. You see what happens to a pipe when it gets higher pressure. The pipe has to have structural integrity. Now, here's what you need to keep in mind. There is a mineral that's probably the most important mineral for the heart, and it's magnesium. As a matter of fact, there's a large percentage of people who have high blood pressure because they're magnesium deficient. Okay? Remember, toxic inputs and not enough nutritive inputs. So you got people who are magnesium deficient. Why are you magnesium deficient? Well, a lot of the food that you're eating, the soil is depleted. So the magnesium you usually would get, you're not getting from your food. The other thing too is that what people don't know is that sugar in the body strips the body of magnesium. Okay? But why is magnesium important for the heart? Magnesium is important for the heart because magnesium is a relaxant. When athletes get muscle cramps, they take a cream, magnesium cream, to relax the muscle. When people want to sleep good at night, they'll take magnesium at night to help them go to sleep because it's a relaxant. Well, it turns out that the arteries actually constrict and expand. They do this to move blood. So people think it's just the heart and the lungs pumping the blood, but it's actually the arteries. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, my brother. The arteries the arteries do that type of thing.
Mm.
Okay?
The arteries pump.
Yeah, they constrict and release.
Mm-hmm.
Constrict and release. That's how blood moves through the arteries. Guess what happens when you're magnesium deficient? It has a hard time to relax. Remember, magnesium is a relaxant? And remember that people can get cramps. What is a cramp? Your muscle contracting and not being able to relax. I want you to start looking at this like in a way that people never really shared with you before, right? Mm-hmm. When you get a muscle cramp, what's happening? The muscle's tightening up and not relaxing. So they give people magnesium to relax it, right? So if you get a cramp in your leg, it's actually your muscle contracting and not loosening up. So the same thing happens with the arteries. When you have a lack of magnesium, sometimes it can contract and not release and relax as full as it needs to. So guess what happens? So now imagine you're magnesium deficient, and normally the artery would go like this. But imagine that the artery goes like this, right? Because it's not fully relaxing. Guess what happens? Build up of pressure. You get a build up of pressure. Pressure builds up and builds up and builds up because this relaxation is not happening all the way. So the elasticity, it has a certain elasticity and can only take a certain amount of pressure, and it bursts. Get a hemorrhagic stroke. That's why they tell you to watch your blood pressure numbers. And remember, there's two numbers in blood pressure. There's the top number and the bottom number. The top number is called your systolic number. The bottom number is called your diastolic number. The bottom number is the most important for stroke. You know why?
No.
Because I'm about to show you. The systolic blood pressure measures your blood pressure when the artery is relaxed. No, when the artery is constricted. Sorry. And the bottom number measures your blood pressure when the artery is supposed to be relaxed. Okay? That's called the diastolic. So you have the systolic, you have the diastolic. What happens, this is why the bottom number is so important. If the blood pressure increases when the artery is supposed to be relaxed, remember, the blood pressure is constricted. Where do you expect the numbers to be higher? When you have constriction or when you have relaxation? For blood pressure.
Constriction.
Constriction. That's why your top number is always higher than your bottom number. You get it now?
I do, but the doctors never,
they never
the
explain
doctors
this to
always
you.
say about the top number. They never talk about the bottom number.
They never explain this to you. I'm just explaining it to you now.
Yeah.
So you're always going to have a higher pressure during the constriction because the hole is smaller, right? There's going to be more pressure. When it's more relaxed, there's less pressure. So the top number, which is this, the constriction, the bottom number is the relaxation. That's why the top number, the constriction, is always higher than the bottom number. So they'll tell you, oh, your blood pressure is 140 over 70. The top number is higher because that's the pressure measured during the constriction. But what happens when it's supposed to relax, but it's still semi-constricted? Remember, it can take the pressure of that much elasticity, but imagine that it doesn't relax all the way and it's here, and you're getting a pressure. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to burst. So the bottom number being high is a problem because that bottom number is supposed to be lower based on the fact that that's supposed to be the relaxation point. But if it's not fully relaxed and you start getting a bottom number over 100, that's when you have to be concerned because it's supposed to be able to take lower pressure, not higher pressure, because it's supposed to be relaxed. So the higher that number gets, the more you have an opportunity for it to burst during the relaxation period. Because it's not fully relaxed. It's supposed to expand when it relaxes. So it didn't get the expansion that it needed. So it's just like this instead. And then it bursts because it didn't get the expansion that it needed. So what solves that problem? Magnesium. It causes it now to relax. Constrict, relax. But if you're low in magnesium, constrict, not fully relaxed. Just like a muscle. Your muscle cramps, and if it can't relax, you've got what they call a Charlie horse, which is usually a deficiency in magnesium. Sometimes potassium, but usually it's magnesium because you use magnesium cream for athletes when they have muscle cramps.
Okay? I wanted to ask you, well, I get it, man. I definitely get it. Brenda left, I'm going to put it back up. I don't know if you saw it. A comment that it's an excellent breakdown, and I would agree with that. I've had 4 of them, and it was never, and I'm very curious. I asked the questions. I probably didn't know exactly what to ask, but it was never quite explained like that. And they always say, watch your top number. They never broke down the science of the bottom number and its significance. So that's important. I wanted to know, speaking a little bit more sociologically, all these reports always say that, Black and brown communities have disproportionate cases of strokes and high blood pressure. Number one, is that true? And if that's true, what does that mean? Our diets are worse than everyone else's? What's that about?
Well, I mean, there's another factor that goes into that, and that also is the main nutrient that is responsible for your immune system. Is vitamin D. So I talked about magnesium, but magnesium and vitamin D go hand in hand. They are complementary to each other. One feeds on the other. One works with the other. Black folks, we are tropical people. Melanin and all that, we're tropical people. And we're people of the sun. Most of us, because we're outside of our ancestral environments, which is tropical environments, we have low vitamin D. This low vitamin D, because we have to be out in the sun a lot longer than paler skinned people to get the same amount of vitamin D. So because of that, most black folks in North America are vitamin D deficient. You don't spend any time outdoors. You get winters. During the winter times is when you get the highest level of all cause mortality deaths for all diseases. The deaths increase dramatically during the months of December, January, and February. That's because that's low vitamin D season. It's winter, daylight saving time. It gets dark at 4 p.m. No one's outside because it's too cold to be outside. So what you have is you got nation full of black folks with vitamin D levels under 20. They tell you normal is 50 to 100, but studies I'm showing show 150 is the magic number. They'll tell you 50 to 100. But most black folks are actually under 20. There's a woman who contacted me a couple months ago with a autoimmune disease, you know, called Hashimoto's, which is hypothyroidism. And they didn't even check her vitamin D levels. You got autoimmune disease and you don't check your vitamin D level. It's crazy. It's the main nutrient for the immune system. So I told her to tell them to check her vitamin D levels. A few days later, she came back to me. Her vitamin D level was 2. 2. She basically had no immune system. See, when you don't have adequate vitamin D levels, nothing can go right for you health wise because your immune system is the main defense, first line of defense for any problem you've got. And imagine you have no security gate. You have no soldiers at the gate. You don't have a gate. You don't even have. It's a free for all.
We're gonna have
So
an alarm system.
yeah, you don't even have an alarm
Right.
system. You don't have a peephole.
Right.
You have no form of security at all. So anyone can do whatever they want. That's how people die of opportunistic infections. They have no immune system. They have no immune system to fight for them. So everything goes haywire, man. And to me, this is the number one reason why black folks are sick. That's to me the number one reason. People could have more explanations, but to me, vitamin D. And then the other side of it too is that we're not eating our like natural foods that we evolved, for millions of years. They found bones in Africa that was 3 million years old. They call it Lucy, Dinkanesh. So you've had human beings from Africa on Earth for 3 million years. And only in the last 20 or 40 years have we been eating processed food.
Right.
Food with preservatives and chemicals, and the body's not used to it. And we're reacting very negatively to this processed food, which is just chemicalized food. Let's just call it that. Processed, a lot of people, it becomes a amorphous type of word, but I just use chemicalized. Chemicalized food to preserve the shelf life of the food, to protect the ROI of the food industry, corporate investors. That's what food preservatives are all about, because they want to preserve the shelf life of the food so it doesn't go rotten, to protect the return on investment of the investors in the food corporations. So they want to preserve the shelf life of the food, but it's actually affecting the shelf life of the human being who eats it. So black folks are eating a lot of these chemicalized foods, plus having a ruined immune system that doesn't have the fuel that it needs. And then it becomes a cascade of problems that lead to chronic inflammation, metabolic disease, insulin resistance, then everything else comes from that. Your high blood pressure, your diabetes, your cancer, all of that comes literally from that. It comes from metabolic syndrome leading to insulin resistance. Then the branch off of that would be high blood pressure, which strokes fall under, or heart disease, let's call it. And then you have your diabetes, you have your cancer, your autoimmune illnesses. All of it is related, man. So that's why, like, there is no, like, people come to me with high blood pressure and diabetes. There is no reversing your diabetes without reversing your high blood pressure, too, if you're doing it correctly. There is no reversing your high blood pressure without reversing your diabetes, also, because it's part of the same umbrella:
Mm.
insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. So we can, which is fueled by chronic inflammation. And so if we attack it properly, we would see results in all fields of the illnesses that you have. So if you come to me, so I've had people come to me with diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer. And what you'll notice is the people who've gotten the cancer reversals, their diabetes and their high blood pressure also goes away, along with their cancer going away, if you do it right. So there's no reversing cancer and still having diabetes and high blood pressure,
Mhm.
if you really solve the problem, as far as I'm concerned, because it's a holistic approach. So I do it differently. That's why, I refer to myself as an illness reversal engineer and not someone who's part of the medical system, because the medical system's operating procedure is to keep you a customer
Right.
and not to
Drug
solve your
dealer.
problem. Because they're gonna solve your problem, they would have explained this to you. You telling me you've had
Exactly.
4 strokes, and I'm sure they were all ischemic strokes or TIAs, which means you
Mhm.
had some blockage, and they never told you you just have to take some nattokinase and stop eating sugar. Like, literally, that's why you got the problem you got.
Mm.
And start taking olive leaf extract, something that's anti-inflammatory. You could take turmeric, curcumin, black seed oil. Any anti-inflammatory herb is going to assist you, because your problem is a problem of inflammation. Stop feeding yourself things that cause inflammation. Knock that out. Take anti-inflammatory herbs. Take nattokinase. You should be fine, bro. Take some magnesium along with vitamin D3, which we make at Herbal Results. That's it. The only thing we don't make is the nattokinase. So that's why I gave you the Amazon link for it. But yeah, that's it. I don't need to really belabor the point. I think your
Yeah.
audience would have gotten, the most basic information from this. But this is how you prevent it. And if you need to reverse it, I've also shown you how to reverse it.
So as a quick recap, and to make sure that I actually remember and understand what you said, we want to stop with the sugar, the
Stop
white
with the
sugar in
sugar and the
particular,
vegetable oils.
vegetable oils.
Yeah, replace the vegetable oil with coconut oil, unrefined virgin coconut oil. Cut out the sugar and the white rice, the white flour, the donuts, the pasta, the anything that is a refined carbohydrate. Cut it
Is that
out.
potatoes too? And is that
I would
white
cut out
and sweet
potatoes.
potato?
About, yeah, white potatoes I would cut out. But interestingly enough, you can eat the orange ones.
Uh,
They don't have such a high glycemic index. Okay, the one they call sweet potato, you can eat that.
mm,
The white potato is actually worse. The white Irish is worse.
I believe it.
But you can eat white yam. That's not bad. So cut out the foods that's feeding your inflammation. Don't drink fruit drinks or fruit juice, because it's just sugar that you're drinking. If you want to have the fruit, eat the fruit itself. Um, but don't eat too much of it, because most people who've got metabolic syndrome also got fatty liver disease and Fatty liver disease is fed by fructose, which is from fruit. So people have fatty liver disease, they're just making it worse by eating fruit because they're just taking fructose in. So now you know what not to eat. You can eat what is known as a ketogenic diet. It's a healthy fat, low carb diet. And then you would take your anti inflammatory herbs, and then you would take natto kinase if you have any blockage. So, like someone like you who's had 4 strokes, I would get on natto kinase right away. Clear up all that blockage, man. And then reverse the inflammation. And then take your magnesium and your vitamin D. You should be fine. And then do time restricted eating.
Mhm.
You know, take 6 hours to eat a day. And then before the 6 hours, don't eat anything. After the 6 hours, don't eat anything. And stick to it. 12 to 6, noon to 6, or 1 to 7, or whatever. You have your meal, 6 hours, shut it down. And you're done for the day, and you're doing 18-6, 18 hours fasting. So what's going to happen is you're going to have several hours throughout the day, which you'll just be burning fat
You know,
without
also, brother Haru,
exercise.
I
Yeah,
started. I'm about to go on another one. I've done 2 3-day water fasts.
excellent.
I'm gonna do that again. I probably actually started technically.
Yeah, I do it
Um,
like once every 3 months.
once every. I was gonna ask you that. How
Yeah, once
often
every
should that
three
be?
months, I do a 3 to 4 day water fast, 72 to 100 hour water fast.
Mhm. Okay.
All right.
Man, well, look, I had 6 questions. You basically answered all of them. So yeah. Let me just ask this. This is a one-shot deal right here for somebody who came in later who the person is gonna watch the recorded version and they're not paying attention to get it quick. What are if somebody wants to begin reclaiming their health? And I know this is a very general question. What are the first 3 practical changes they need to make? And I know you're gonna be reiterating, but just to make sure we get the point across.
Yeah, cut out all the sources of inflammation, which would be sugar, refined carbohydrates. That's usually any food that's white. And then you would take anti inflammatory herbs, such as olive leaf extract. And then you would take vitamin D3 plus K2 and magnesium, zinc, and selenium. You those are the main things the immune system needs. So, what I'm teaching you to do is you're training your body to one, stop feeding itself toxic inputs in the form of inflammatory foods, then to take herbs that reverse inflammation, and then to take vitamins and minerals that make your immune system robust. Those are like the 3 most important things you can do. Then after that would be exercise, you know, like do some physical activity, and with the first step with the food, just make sure that you're not hurting yourself with the food that you're eating. So that would be anti-inflammatory foods, and do a fasting regime. Do a 3-day water fast every, maybe twice a year if you want. I do it 4 times a year every season. And then you have time restricted eating. So that means you're not going to be eating all day at random hours. You're going to shut it down, you know? And I advise people, if you can, like, especially if you're dealing with weight issues, shut it down by 6 p.m. Don't eat after 6 p.m. Keep that as a rule. Just don't eat after 6. So you could do a 4 hour window. To me, if you really, really, really want to lose, if you want to lose 20 pounds at least in a month, let's say you want to lose 20 pounds in 30 days, eat from 2 to 6 p.m. every day. Outside of 2 p.m., water and lime only.
Water and lime.
Yes, fresh squeezed lime in water,
Mhm, mhm.
and you drink that before 2 p.m. After 6 p.m., water and lime again. But between 2 and 6, you're going to eat ketogenic food, which is healthy fats, low carbohydrates. 4 hours to do it. If you do
Mm.
that, if you do that, and you shut it down at 6, and you
That's like
wait
a
till
20-hour fast every day.
Yeah, well, it's a 4 hour window to eat,
Yeah.
2 to 6. And so you're doing what it's called 24.
Mm-hmm.
20 hours fasting, 4 hours eating. If you do that, and during that time, that 4 hours, you can stuff your face. You can eat as much as you want during that 4 hours. Just make sure it's not sugar and make sure it's not vegetable oils. Make sure it's not refined carbohydrates. Do this
So it
from 2 to 6.
sounds like you, I'm sorry, Heru, it sounds like you're also saying this should be implied that we got to stop frying as much. And if we
Yeah, I
fry, should
mean,
do a coconut oil,
yes,
you're
I
saying?
mean, the problem with the frying is really the oil that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the problem. If you're using a toxic oil, it's getting into your body. So the
Mm-hmm.
oil that you should use should be coconut oil. But the point that I'm making is that, like, if somebody wants to lose at least 20 pounds in a month, do exactly what I said. If you
I
want to
got you,
reverse your
brother.
insulin resistance.
I'm on it.
Now, what I'm saying is, I've had people on this program 2 to 6, the 4 hour ketogenic. I've had them do this for 2 months, 3 months, and they've lost 80 pounds.
But you said,
80
I just
pounds.
want to
Actually, I
make
just had
sure
a brother
from 2
testify
to 6.
2 to 6 p.m.
Wow. That's going to take a lot of discipline, but it's possible. It's doable.
Yeah, 2 to 6. If you do this for 30 days, you're going to lose about 20 pounds. And if you do it for about 3 months, the brother who did it, he had prostate cancer. He just came on my show on Monday, Kojo Tukumbo. He lost 80 pounds in 3 months.
Mm.
He was 290, and within 3 months, he was 210 pounds, 6'2".
Mm.
I mean, this happens like quite frequently. I'm just telling people, like, if this is what you want to do, this is the formula. I'm just giving people the formula. That's the formula. And if you stick to that formula for the rest of your life, you're not going to have weight issues. Because here's the thing that people need to understand: old age selects against weight. What I mean is that the older age you look at, the less obese people you'll find. So you're not going to find obese 90-year-olds.
Right.
You're not going to find obese 80-year-olds. The
Mm.
reason is because they all die before they reach
They
that
gonna die,
age.
yeah. Mm.
So if you want to reach that age, you've got to handle your weight. Everybody, myself included, everybody. I'm telling you that the easiest way to handle your weight without having to think about it, without having to, like, just have a lifestyle routine, which is I only eat food from 2 to 6 p.m. That's the only time I eat food. And I drink water the rest of the time. And you're going to find that your body will adjust to it just fine. You're going to find that you get your 21-year-old body back. You're going to find that you have more energy than you used to have. You find that you don't think about food all the time. You realize how much time you waste eating food because you're just snacking all day long. And each time you're snacking and opening your mouth to eat something, you're triggering your insulin. Every time your insulin is triggered, your body goes into fat storage for 12 hours. This is why people can't lose weight, because they don't go 12 hours without eating, so that they're triggering their insulin before the 12 hours is up. Because after the 12th hour, the body turns around from fat storage to fat burning. So many people never achieve fat burning because they don't go 12 hours without eating. So when
I
you
can do
do,
this, Heru. I can do this. I'm
you can
gonna do
absolutely
this
do it.
because I
You can
feel like
absolutely do
this.
it.
If you can go 3 days without eating anything, then this is gonna be more consistent. This is gonna be every day.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
you
But
can eat for 4 hours in a
if you make it a
day
lifestyle,
and
yeah, if you
fast
make
the
it a
rest.
lifestyle,
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
absolutely.
like, you could be a witness. You can bear witness to this, like, yourself, and give people your own testimonial. But this is the herbal result strategy to lose weight. Like, if you just, like, if you want to lose weight and you want to get back to your, like, 21-year-old body, give me 3 months. That's what I tell them. Give me 3 months. Just follow what I'm saying for 3 months. You could just do 2 to 6 every day. Cut out the sugar, cut out the vegetable oils. Do 2 to 6 every day. And what you do is you weigh yourself at the end of every week. So you don't do it you don't weigh yourself every day. It's at the end of every week, and you're going to start seeing, man, I lost 3 pounds this week. Man, I lost 4 pounds this week. I lost 5 pounds. It starts adding up. It becomes 20 pounds. And then that 20 becomes 40. 40 becomes 60. And all of a sudden, people don't even recognize you anymore.
Mm.
That's what happened to the brother. He was walking his dog, and the neighbor didn't even know it was him. He talks about it, in the interview, or people want to, look at the show, the health show on Monday. The brother was on for an hour and a half talking about his prostate cancer reversal, but the weight loss was part of the conversation too. His neighbor didn't recognize him because he'd lost so much weight dramatically that he just he didn't recognize him. He lost 80 pounds in 3 months. That's a full person. Like 80 pounds is that's like a teenage child.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm on it, man. I'm actually going to commit to that. I might even make that a video on the other channel to inspire people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, do it for a month and you will see. And it becomes a way of life. You'll stop eating at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., or getting a snack before you go to bed. You just stop it. And you'll notice you don't crave food like you used to.
Now, this is the last question, Rule, taking up your time, brother. This is the last question. I had a comrade, beloved comrade, that was a student activist with me, Sister Aisha Wilson, rest in power. She died many years ago. There's no way she should have died so young. She had lupus, but she used to always tell me, stop eating that carcass. Anytime she saw me eating meat, she was real big on the being, I don't know if she was vegetarian or vegan. Do you think that would you also suggest people cut down the meat eating as well, or does that
No,
factor
so
in?
my answer will be controversial to people in the health field, but I have to say the truth. It's not about meat. Because here's the thing: a lot of people who come to me who are sick are vegetarians and vegans.
Mm.
Yeah, because they have nutrient deficiencies, particularly vitamin B12, and a lot of them are diabetic because they eat starch all day long. They eat processed foods. They'll eat, the soy meats and all of that stuff, and Beyond Burgers and all that. That's chemicalized food. So they're eating processed food all day long, saying that they're not eating flesh. But
Mm.
here's the deal: like, I used to be a vegan. I was a vegan for 20 years. Till when I went to Africa, I started spending time with people, and you start meeting like people like the Maasai people who are
Mm.
very
They
healthy,
lean.
and
Yeah.
they eat meat. That's all they eat is meat. They barely eat vegetables. They have almost no incidence of cancer, heart disease, none of that. So I had to go with the facts. And the facts are that it's about eating whole foods. What I mean by whole foods, foods that have not been adulterated in a laboratory. That's the key. So it could be vegetables, fish. If you're eating meat, I would say stay away from pork because of the parasite buildup in pork. But
Leave that swine alone, family.
yeah,
Mm.
because it tends to have a lot of parasites, and pig skin, I believe, doesn't have pores, and a big part of their skin is mucus. So, like their dermal, like right under their dermis is in their epidermis is like mucus. It's just how pigs are built. So it's not a very healthy meat, but I would just say that a lot of people come to me with a lot of illnesses are vegans and vegetarians. So
Yeah, because she
it
was
was just
really
been a wake up
healthy,
call.
but
Yeah.
she was really healthy with all this she would tell me. And I just wonder, I was at her funeral and I was wondering, wow, she was so healthy with eating. How did she have this lupus is autoimmune, right?
Yeah, I mean, I covered that in the last
Yeah,
lecture I
okay.
did.
That's something.
We can get into that, but basically, there's doctors who are showing that a lot of these autoimmune diseases are actually caused by parasites, and the immune system is attacking where the parasites are being burrowed. So they say that it's attacking you, but it's actually trying to attack the parasites. That's actually one of the reasons why, lupus. One of the main medications they give them is hydroxychloroquine, which is anti-parasitic. But somehow they haven't put two and two together that it may be a parasitic infection that's causing this problem. The problem with the problem is that they have the theory that the immune system is attacking the body. So you know what they do? They give you drugs to suppress your immune system. It's called
Mm.
corticosteroids. But guess what happens when your immune system is suppressed?
You get sick
You get
all the
subjected
time.
to
Yeah.
opportunistic infections. And so we have a whole different way of dealing with autoimmune illnesses, which is high dose
I saw you
vitamin
had
D.
some stuff on parasites in your website as well.
Yeah, we do anti-parasitic cleanse with the olive leaf. You could use ivermectin, fenbendazole, mebendazole. We also you could use black seed oil along with the olive leaf extract, Artemisia annua. And then what we do is step up your immune system for it to behave more intelligently with the vitamin D3 plus K2 and magnesium, zinc, selenium. You know, and then also starve the parasites because they love sugar. See, so it all starts boiling down to the same thing over and over again. Yeah, parasites love sugar. That's why they hate bitter things because the opposite of sweet is bitter. So when you throw bitter things, that's why the olive leaf is bitter. When you throw bitter things at them, they end up dying because it's the opposite of what's sweet. So they love sweet things, and a lot of times people got sweet craving. It's not even them; it's their parasites. That's
Mm.
literally forcing them to feed the parasites. Yeah, it's heavy what goes on, man. It's heavy what goes on. So yeah, I mean, autoimmune diseases. There's a guy, people listening, Dr. Alan McDonald. Watch his lecture on. It's a title called "Multiple Sclerosis is a Parasitosis." It's on YouTube. I'm surprised YouTube didn't block it and take it down.
Mm.
But basically, he showed that in the cerebral spinal fluid of all of his multiple sclerosis patients, he was able to see parasites called nematodes.
Mm.
These nematodes are killed very easily by olive leaf extract, and ivermectin kills nematodes very well.
Mm.
Olive leaf extract kills nematodes very well. So if you have multiple sclerosis, I'd like to talk to you. Anyone who's got an autoimmune disease, contact me. I'd love to talk to you. We just put you on the protocol and see how you do. It's high dose vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, selenium, anti-parasitics, and a diet that starves them of their main fuel source, which is sugar. Do the
Mm.
same thing with cancer, and we get, the results that we get.
That's what's up, my brother. As always, a very um, uh, fruitful and informative discussion. And I think that people who see this broadcast are going to be like me. Every time we hook up and do a broadcast, you'll see me like, whoa, wow. I didn't know that. It's like, it's crazy. I still am thinking about this blood pressure thing. Watch that top. Oh, it was 200 over, but they never talk about the bottom number ever. Now, did you tell me one show that it should be if it gets over 150 on the top and 100 on the bottom, that's really should concern you? How
Yeah,
did
that's
you
when you
do that?
should start. Like 150 over, let's say 150 over 90. We'd like to keep it under that.
Mhm.
150 over 90, that's when I would get concerned when it's higher than that. Other than that, you're good.
Okay. Hey
All
man,
right.
have you ever written a book? And if not, would you consider doing that? I'm curious.
Yeah, I've written a book. Absolutely. Here's the
Oh,
book.
oh yeah? Man, I didn't even
Yeah,
know that.
it's
It's on
on
the
my
website.
website. I'm about to show you the book for all the
Let's put that
listeners. You
up.
can get the book and download the book. It is called. I'm about to put it up. Let's share it. Go to herbalresults.net, go to the shop page. It's the first thing you'll see. You see it here?
Mm-hmm.
The successful eradication of cancer using an intracellular parasite theory, scientific evidence, testimonials, and a protocol written by myself. See it? People can
I have
download it.
seen that. I didn't pay close attention to that. Yeah, that's your
Yep.
book. Yeah.
You just buy it, you download it, and it's yours forever. It's an ebook. So you can download it on your phone or on your tablet or on your laptop.
Hmm. Okay, that's what's
I
up.
have I'll be working on another book on autoimmune diseases.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, brother, thank you so much, man, for the work you do here and the work you're doing all over the country, man. You're definitely helping people to live and to live vibrantly, and that's nothing to be sniffed at. That's can't do anything if you're not alive. And so that's key, and I definitely appreciate that, good brother.
No problem, man. It's my pleasure.
All right, man. Maybe next time the Queen had put something. Hold on. Could we maybe do one on migraine headache? So maybe the next go around we could talk about that.
Yeah, migraine can be caused by many different
Okay.
things. It can be
Yeah.
caused by high blood pressure, high blood sugar, magnesium deficiency. So yeah, I mean we can talk about that. It's not a problem.
Cool. All right,
All
family. There
right.
you got it, brother Heru, dropping that knowledge again on our health, making it simple and plain, so even a complete fool can get it. There's no reason you watch this and go, I don't know what he's talking about. He makes it very simple and plain. Very good examples. Appreciate you, brother, and I'll definitely see
No
you next
problem.
time, man.
All right.
Thank you,
Yes.
man.
Good
Peace.
man. Peace.